what is one important message we need to continue to tell people like myself that I introduced myself as an advocate, and you told me, no, you're more like an activist. Now, how do we keep the momentum going?
So when we foster age diversity, when we bring all ages into the room, when we older people share power with younger people, we are inherently, automatically advancing gender equity, racial equity, sexual identity equity. So ageism and age, I think, have tremendous social power and subversive power in this political moment, and I hope we use it.
And it may, like you said, it may become a spearhead to continue to drive or even drive the conversation.
Of course, it's a way to get
Correct.
all the things in the room. And I don't mean to put it in such antagonistic terms. There is a lot of jargon. There are a lot of terms that people are sick of, around identity and, all these isms. There are different ways and different words to talk about that that do not set off alarms for people, don't confuse people, and don't make them feel that they don't know the right way to say this. No one knows the right way. The right way for you is maybe not the right way for me. There is no right. There is no wrong, right? We are all figuring out how to age in a way that works for us, what language to use, all those things. It's all a work in progress.
No, very good. Very good. From the last time you talked on Launch Talks, some 3.5 or 3 years ago, it was just after COVID. How much evolution have you seen in terms of some of the areas you cover, especially related to ageism against women?
I have to say, when you say COVID, my thoughts instantly go to the dark, dark numbers of how many people died of COVID, in particular older people, but also people generally with less money, people who had to show up for jobs and didn't have the choice, as I suspect all three of us did, to stay at home and avoid the risk of catching COVID. That said, one thing that did happen during COVID was an awful lot of people learned to come together using the internet. And that is a fantastic equalizer. It is fantastic for people with disabilities. A lot of the changes that they have been asking for decades about the ability to work remotely magically became possible when the health of the general public was at risk. And one advantage, there are many ways in which aging is gendered and is more difficult for women, but one advantage we have is that we tend to be more of the social connectors in relationships than men. I think that's changing as gender roles become more mixed up, and I think that's a good thing. But one thing I saw during the pandemic was dozens of groups of women form. I see it happening now more recently around menopause, but I see so many groups, and I see Eliane is nodding, of older women in particular saying, I may be older, but I am full of power. I am hitting my stride. I am elegant. I am powerful. Different messages for different people. So I don't think you ever get that back in the bottle. And I think we will see the fruit of those relationships and networks in the years to come.
No, excellent. Ashton, during the Century Summit, the main topic was for the Stanford Century Summit, the main topic was ageism. As you may remember or not, I moderated a topic on global views of ageism as well.
Yes.
Right? What were the key takeaways? I mean, any major, you're so deep into this and so early. Were there any major surprises in terms of what you saw, not only on the Century Summit, or how things have evolved about this open discussion about ageism and not only healthcare, but like uh, uh, arts, fashion, the beauty industry, trying to move away from this anti-aging approach to more like embrace age?
Well,
Any major surprises?
I don't think, shocker, that we can look to the multi-billion-dollar anti-aging piece of the cosmetics industry for progress, because all these businesses were, including a lot of the healthcare industrial complex, they make things into a problem so they can persuade you to buy things to quote unquote stop or fix the problem. And having a serious disease is arguably a problem. Having wrinkles, it's not a problem for me, but I want to say no judgment. If I was a TV newscaster, they'd be a problem for me. They could mean that I lose my job. So no judgment for how anyone deals with these changes, especially women. Where I see tremendous change is that a global movement to raise awareness of ageism and how to end it is underway. And I'm not a scientist, but I am, again, very, very careful to have evidence for my claims. And in 2018, with two colleagues, I launched something called the Old School Hub. And at that time, it was a resource bank at the time, and we didn't even have a section on campaigns. And it has since filled with campaigns from around the world. The first national campaign came from Australia. It's called Every Age Counts. It's terrific. A few years later, they launched something called Ageism Awareness Day. It was picked up in more countries the next year. Last year, the American Society on Aging and Help Age International has always, but there are, more and more organizations. And the Canadian Society to End Ageism all got on board. It's October 9th, and it is a national day to raise awareness of ageism. Does everyone in the world know about it yet? No. Social change is slow, but these are measurable, incremental changes in raising awareness and educating people. And all change starts with awareness, because most bias is unconscious and we can't challenge something we don't even know we're doing.
The one thing that surprised me was the composition of the audience, right? You may remember they're doing cuts of, who are we, what backgrounds we have.
At Stanford?
At Stanford, sorry. It's at that particular event. And I don't know if it was that particular event or most of the events that are related to this topic have like 80% of the audience identified as female, right? What do you think is one of those causes?
I wish I were surprised. A goal I'm really working on, and it's slow and hard, but fulfilling and important, is to try to support a movement of people, fewer of whom look like me, mainly older white women who frankly have the privilege to do activism because it's not a very lucrative way to spend your time. I mean, I now make a living at it, but I've been at it for 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's no surprise to me that more of them are women, because women have more at stake. We are held, there is a double standard when it comes to aging, this toxic notion that somehow men grow more distinguished and handsome and knowledgeable over time, and women just fall off a cliff at whatever point they start to visibly age. We are judged more harshly for our appearance. Ageism bites men too. It is the first form of discrimination many white men encounter, but they get a longer runway. And when you are discriminated against on the basis of something you cannot change about yourself, it feels awful. And women experience this, frankly, in the workforce, women are never the right age. First, we're too pretty and cute and sexy to be taken seriously, and then we're too fertile. Studies show that when men say, I'm going to become a father, they get a raise. If women say, I'm going to become a mother, they get fired or not promoted, because the assumption is they will become less valuable to their employers. No evidence for that, needless to say, right? So there is this double standard that punishes women for looking old and growing old. And discrimination is unfair and feels awful. And for those of us who can afford to get angry, Some people can't, especially women. Women aren't supposed to be
Mm.
angry and make noise about it. It matters more to us because we have more at stake. I think a really powerful misconception, because we, especially in the US, it is such an age segregated society, and ageism enforces that, right? Is that when you spend almost all your time with people your own age, you think, oh, well, that's why I like them. That's why we get along. That's why we share values. And in fact, gender, class, ethnicity all have much more to do with what we have in common than age does. And when we spend time in mixed age groups, that becomes evident. But we have to sort of bust out of our age silos in order to see that. And we have to experience it, I think, in order to believe it.
LongeTalks is a case of intergeneration because have three girls and work. I am 64 years old, no? And Jessica is a gerontologist, is 32 years old, and the Julia Kamata is edition these videos is at 21 years old.
There's no telling which ideas are the ideas that will appeal to people are going to depend on their values and where they're from, not how old they are.
Well, thank you so much for the time, Ashton.
A pleasure.
Thank you so much for this powerful conversation.